You're right, guys. Shay here. Uneven bounce. Hope you guys are well. So as you can see, the Dolphin shirt is on and the Proteas cap is being worn. We are all things South Africa tonight. So I'm joined by an international panel. As you can see, got my two guests in front of me. I've got Ravi Reddy from Cricket Fanatics Magazine. And for the first time on the channel, we've got Abhai Sawkar from Bold Through the Gate. Abhai's coming all the way from California. Quite amazingly. So yeah, he's 8 hours behind. So thank you very much, Abhai, for coming onto the channel. We can plug you later, but basically Abhai is very, very well-informed cricket analyst and fan. You'll see him very active on social media, in particular Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. But yeah, we can discuss that a bit later as well, Abhai. But how are you guys doing, gents?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Very good. Good to be back. Talking about South Africa, because it seems to be England in the past couple of months. It's good to get to my very closely contested second team. So yeah, so tonight, guys, as you guys know, I've been quite disappointed really in the Proteas performances over the past, well, I could say 18 to 24 months. And I went back to the kind of final test match at Lord's back 8 years ago now, just over, where South Africa toppled England to win the series there over here in 2012, by 2-0, and took the #1 mace off us. And I was thinking, obviously, at the time there, that side to what they are now, obviously South Africa now ranks, I believe it's 5th in the IC rankings, 5th or 6th.
I think it's 6th.
I believe, I think you're actually right. I think it's 6th in the IC rankings. And obviously, there's quite a large disparity between the two sides. And I just want to kind of analyse and dissect the bowlers and the batsmen to see how far behind is the current team from that side, and what can South Africa do to kind of plug the gap. So that's really the purpose of this conversation. Now, I think it was just said before, we're going to cut into 2 parts. Obviously, part 1's this week. We'll do part 2, obviously, at some point soon. But this week, we'll discuss the batsmen. So when I say batsmen, we'll take the top 7, because you've got de Villiers from 2012 and Quince de Kock from now. So I'm going to take the top 7 players and just kind of go through them top to middle, top to bottom, and just go through it and see how much ahead is that side from 8 years ago. And then in part 2, we'll discuss more the bowlers and come to kind of conclusions and what the Proteas can do to kind of bridge the gap. So is there any points you guys like to make before we get started off with the sides?
Well, I think the lowest point, like in recent times, would have to be losing the home series to Sri Lanka. Like, I was hoping they'd come back, possibly tie the series 1-1, but I think the second test match was a very lackluster performance. I think I was kind of expecting too much, but then again, I think the team confidence was at quite a low at the time.
Ravi, would you concur with that? I mean, obviously, that was a very low point, as you know.
It was a low point, but you can't say that it wasn't short of entertaining. Obviously, if you're on the right end, it was highly entertaining if you're a Sri Lankan fan. But I couldn't even believe the ball-by-ball commentary where they were saying it was like 30 runs of 22 that was needed in Durban. Then it was cut down to 15 of 10. And to be fair, on Otis Gibson, his tenure in that time leading up to the Sri Lanka Test series was actually fantastic. He didn't have a blemish on his record up until that Sri Lanka Test series. And I think we were gutted because we were expecting to rip them apart, especially considering the vein of form that we were in, because we beat Australia, we beat India. We had a couple phenomenal away victories as well. We came back nicely against England in that period. So you would think that we would have easily walked over Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, and maybe fortunately as well, it's good to see an informed Sri Lankan team once again. Karuratne, I think he was phenomenal in that series. It was good to see some fight in them, and I think this guy is going to be here to stay for some time. But if you're to get back to your initial point about 2012, I also happened to be there at Lord's as well.
Oh yeah, you told me, yeah.
Yeah, and well, we never met
No,
at the
just
time.
in the same ground.
We were
Yeah,
supposed to, but we
that's right. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
literally a week before that, I had zero plans of going to the UK a week before that, and I was just fortunate enough that one of the directors I was working with at the time said, "There's a ticket here for you if you're gonna make the trip. By all means, you can stay with us near Canary Wharf and all of those lovely places in London and make a trip out of it. But you just need to get yourself here." And very fortunate to have a lot of supportive relatives that were saying, we'll buy the ticket for you. By all means, this is something that it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. You better go and grab it with both hands. And it was probably one of the most enjoyable test series I ever got to see ever.
I'm sure, yes, as a South African fan, obviously, you must have been very happy. Very much bittersweet for me. I was very happy for South Africa, obviously. It was a wonderful team to watch of us, that test series. But
was that the series
yeah.
where KP got into trouble with the teammates? Was it that
yes.
one? Was
Yeah,
the same one, eh?
Textgate? Textgate, that's what they call it?
Yeah,
Textgate,
yeah, for Headingley, wasn't it, when he was slating James Taylor, criticising him, which I'm sure he regrets a lot now. But yeah, that's probably a conversation for a day. I'm sure it's a whole new podcast could do around Textgate. I mean, yeah.
On Kevin Peterson alone.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as we know, it's brought on it was the end of Andy Strauss's captain, wasn't it, as well, during that period? It was it was 3 series in a row, wasn't it? 03, 08, and 2012.
Every time we
English captain would retire.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll resign from captaincy because Hussein carried on later in the year.
I think even as far back as Athens, when they toured South Africa, every time there was a tour on, somebody resigned. That's unfortunate thing. It's like Graham Smith. That's the thing we kept on saying. Graham Smith, not only did he bag a couple hundreds, but he also bagged a couple resignations along the way. English captains as well.
Yeah, if he captained 2017, maybe Giroud would have resigned after 6 months. Who knows? Less than that, but
possibly.
Yeah. Anyway, so what we're going to do, guys, let's just go through the kind of the players that we have. I've modified the current lineup, as we've discussed before. So I'm going to run through the players before I start with the stats. Now, in 2012, we had, this is the top 7. They had that play the final test match. So it was Graham Smith, Abhai Peterson, Hashim Amla, Jacques Kallis, A.B. de Villiers, Jacques Rudolph, J.P. Duminy. That was 7 players in 2012. The team, well, this is a modified team that I've got here. Actually, it's not with the bats. Sorry, it's not with the top 7 in terms of the most recent test that South Africa played in January this year against England in Joburg. But you have Dean Elgar, Aidan Markram, Rassie van der Dusen, Faf du Plessis, Quincy de Kock, Temba Bavuma, and Dwayne Pretorius. Actually, I do know that Markram is there, which is the one guy that I brought into the setup because I believe that he would play ahead of, for example, Peter Milan. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if you guys concur with that, but I think he's in the strongest batting lineup, Aidan Markram. Would you guys agree, or would you have someone else maybe instead?
Yeah, I guess I'd agree for now because I think Peter Milan, he came in as just an injury replacement. I think Markram hurt his hand in the first test, and then
Pretoria.
Yeah. That brought about his debut for the remainder of the series.
Exactly. I mean, it's he scored. He was 84 in Cape Town. Ravi, I think it was your stomping ground, wasn't it? It was at Newlands. He scored. Didn't he?
Yeah, we were convinced he was going to score 100 on that too. Unfortunately, that never materialized. Coming back to AD, Markram definitely. I think part of the challenge is that he's often labelled as a specialist opener, but he's not opposed to batting in the middle order either.
I think in 50 over cricket, he bats at number 4, number 5.
4, yeah.
And I think in Test cricket, he wouldn't be necessarily opposed to it. He's a pretty good player of spin as well. It makes sense. But you've already got quite a few contenders for that number 4 spot at the moment. Contenders, because we're not sure who the go-to guy is at the moment because there's been a couple of disappointing performances at that position. In fact, the top 6 have been under scrutiny for a long time, as we know.
Absolutely, I think. Yeah. I mean, you'll see massive discrepancies in the figures when we get through to that, especially in the batting. I mean, there's a major glaring difference between the two sides, which I will probably say at the end of the show or even the next part. But if we say go back to the stats now, just quickly reel them off. It's going to give a semblance of the legends that are playing at 2012 side. I mean, you've got Graham Smith, 117 matches, 9,265 runs, a 48.25 as an opener. Alvaro Peterson, who was playing then. Obviously, you've had personal conversations with haven't you, Ravi, with Alvaro, but 36 tests, 2,093 runs at 34.88. Hashim Amla, another titan in the game, 124 tests, 9,282 runs at 46.64. Jack Callis, I mean, yeah, I'll get Callis in a second, but 166 test matches. This is incredible. 13,289 runs, 55.37. And to boot, I think from memory, he got 292 wickets at 32.65 across his tests as well. I mean, just unbelievable numbers. ABD Billions, 114 tests, 8,765 runs at 50.66. Jack Rudolph, 48 tests, 2,622 runs at 35.43. JP Duminy rounds off that list with 46 tests being played, 2,103 runs at 32.85. Now, if you look at that, straight away, I think what pops out of your head is there's four names in it: Smith, Amla, Callis, AB. Undoubtedly, for the greatest cricketers South Africa's ever produced. No question about it. And the wealth of experience there alone, I mean, I've not done the cumulative stats, but if we look at the top seven now that they've got comparison, I mean, we reel it off. And remember the tests number that I'll give you here. So Dean Elgar, 63 tests, 3,888 runs at 38.49. Aidan Markram, 20 tests, 1,424 runs at 38.48. Rassie van der Dusen, 4 tests only, 274 runs at 34.25. Because the critical mass is so small, I've actually gone to his first class career for him. 117 first class matches, 7,644 runs at 43.93. Gives more of an accurate kind of.
Sorry, who was that? That was
Rassie van der Dusen. Yeah, so almost 44 average in Test cricket across 117 matches. Just to give him more indication of how how the performances have been in domestic cricket. Faf du Plessis, 65, only 65 tests for Faf, only 65 still. I thought it was a lot more.
He actually made his debut after that Test series that you and I were talking about now, the 2012 match in Lords. He made his debut in Australia that same year. And scored a Test 100 in his first match and saved the match as well.
They won that series 1-0, didn't they? I think they won in Brisbane.
In fact, Dean Elgar also made his debut in that series as well and got a pair.
Yeah, that was unlucky.
And but obviously, I mean, that was the kind of that was the second time that South Africa won in Australia, didn't they? Because he won in 08-09, then he won in 12-13, then he won in 16-17, didn't they?
Since 2008, it's just been win-win-win.
Yeah, apart from home,
and then when Australia comes to us, then they destroy us at home. It's a very strange relationship we have with them.
Yeah, indeed. So just to continue and finalise this, so Quinton de Kock, 47 tests, 2,934 runs at 39.12. Temba Bavuma, 40 tests, 1,845 runs at 30.75. And then Dwayne Pretorius, 3 tests only, 83 runs at 13.83. But forget about that. Dwayne Pretorius at first class level, 2,739 runs at 37. So, I mean, the thing that stands out to me, what South Africa are lacking massively right now, is experience. And that's, I think, a major part of the problem and why they're struggling to get number 6 in the IC rankings. And maybe one of the reasons why big series, and even... I'm not trying to devalue Sri Lanka, but smaller series like the Sri Lanka series 18 months ago, you got turned over. South Africa should not be losing to this Sri Lanka outfit at home. It's as simple as that. You should not be losing to them. But is it because there's a lack of experience and grit in the side and in the team? Obviously, that loss that they had in Durban to Sri Lanka with that Kosal Pereira, I think 153 not out, majestic innings. The bowling attack is obviously a lot less experienced than the likes of not Fabus, he was still playing there, but Morkel. I think Steyn actually played a Test, didn't he? He played the Test 18 months ago. But
that's right.
But Morkel retired, hadn't he? Morkel had gone.
He retired against India, Australia. I think it was Australia.
It was Australia series.
It was against Australia.
So But I mean, if you look at that, I mean, the experience is what stands out as a real problem for them.
Well, I wouldn't just say lack of experience. I feel like even those who do really well in first class cricket, I think that they're finding the learning curve of Test cricket to be pretty steep, and they just they find it very difficult to adjust. Like if you were to take Dane Pete, for example, when he got picked for the India tour, I believe he had taken the most wickets in the most recent first class season, and he got sent for lots of runs in that tour.
He's very expensive, wasn't he? I mean, I've come on here and said that he got beat so bad he went off to the US. You know, that's how
pretty much. Now he's got a podcast. Actually, he's got his own podcast.
He's got his own podcast. Have you noticed that everyone's got their own podcast now? Even like Ravi Ashton's got their own podcast. Everyone seems to
really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he's like 500,000 subscribers.
And like,
yeah, he did an interview with Faf du Plessis. I think it came out yesterday. It was released.
So Dane is doing his with Rory Kleinfeld. You know Rory?
Yeah, of course.
So they're doing it together at the moment. So, but they talk about all kinds of sports. It's not just cricket, it's football as well.
It's amazing how lockdown has been the birth of so many podcasts and professionals, isn't it? Not just cricket, but football and boxing as well. A lot of boxing ones come out as well. So there's people that sitting around just bored. What else can you do? I guess there's so many hill sprints you can do on your front driveway, isn't there? But anyway, so if we go to, as I mentioned before, with the experience, Abhai, I think you were citing there that the performances maybe from what I understand is you're saying the step up from maybe domestic level to international level in 2012 compared to now is a lot more steep. Is that right? When you say
yes, that's right.
So that's one of the reasons why you feel like maybe when people are making the step up, they're not obviously bedding in as easy as some of the players did 10, 15 years ago, the guys I mentioned who made their debuts. I mean, with Graham Smith, De Villiers, all made their debuts around the similar time, wasn't it? 2003, 2004, around similar times. I mean, would you say, Ravi, obviously you've been following domestic cricket in South Africa for obviously a lot longer than me and Abhai. Do you feel like the quality, the step up is drastically increased now compared to then?
Shay, I think part of the challenge is that in terms of succession planning, I don't think the Proteas had a proper plan or proper sort of strategy to fulfill these voids as these individuals left the team. So as an example, I'll tell you, I mean, from 2013 we lost Cullis, 2014 we lost Smith, recently we lost Abla. De Villiers, we know the story with him. And those are massive voids. And the reality is that we managed to get two successful players in the form of du Plessis and Elgar, who were the mainstays since their debut. But the problem is that both of them are below 40 in terms of average. And they've played some phenomenal cricket. The problem is that they don't have much left in the tank. I think Faf has probably got maybe one test series left in him until he commits to another year in IPL, possibly. And Dean is probably going to play another 2 years max. Until such point, we need to look for another
2, maybe 3 years.
Depends.
I feel Dean was still quite hungry.
You can sign a cold pack, actually, I don't even know if the cold pack.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think it's. Yeah.
It's not a viable loophole.
But you can go play county for. You can still go. You still have the option to be considered as an overseas player, right? So
true. Well, Elgar's played for Somerset. Sorry, hasn't he? He wasn't very good last year at Surrey, Dean Elgar, but he did well for Somerset when he played there his first stint. But yeah, I mean. Yeah, I mean that's another. That's why we're here today, because is that also is it a simple case of South Africa just had at one time it all came together like the perfect storm, just a culmination of legendary cricketers that were from the same generation, and they just all retired, and that just left too big a hole to fill. I mean, it's like England, isn't it? Because if you let's say took out of England Anderson, Broad, Peterson, and Cook around 2014, let's just say that. Around the Ashes, England could have also been, rated 6th, 7th in the world as well. I mean, they were at one point, but is it just a simply case of that the players? I mean, whose fault is that? It's just a case of that's just the way it is. Unfortunately, you can't. Grain don't grow in trees. Jack colours doesn't grow in trees. Is that what we're saying here? I mean,
but they've been the big time players for a long time. I mean, Smith was around since 2003. Callis was around since 1995. And he had the opportunity to fulfill his role to the best of his ability, and he became the best. He just got an award the other day. That's a massive void. Yeah, the reality is you can't just go to the domestic system and expect somebody to fulfill that void, especially a player in stature of Callis. And I think that's a problem with South African cricket at the moment. We've been waiting for the next Callis.
And plus, when it comes to finding a replacement, especially for these big players, we're not talking weeks, we're not talking months. It takes a few years, and plus, like legendary all-rounders like Callis, they're 1 in a million, and yeah, they're very much a rare talent. So it won't be easy to find another Callis or another Graham Smith, for example.
I think John Class, I was thinking about him before. I mean, I was just even mentioning the stats again of him. Why do you feel, I don't want to veer too much of course here, but I do believe, I'd like to discuss with both of you here. Why do you feel that Jock Callis is not meant, I mean, you could argue maybe, I don't think he is. I don't think he's mentioned the same level of esteem as his peers during his era. So if we say Brian Lara, Sangakkara, Tendulkar, why is he not mentioned in the same kind of circles as them? I know he's revered because of his stats, but I don't think he's talked about as fondly when his stats are absolutely incredible. There is no, I think Jack Callis is very much a once generational player. The definition of that. To find a guy with those kind of numbers,
that's the thing. Every team in the world would, sorry, you're sounding crude, will give their left nut for a player of Callis' stature. That's a fact, right? And the reality, we haven't seen anybody close to likeness of Callis in any of the other games. I mean, we had Freddie in England.
Ben Stokes now, you could say.
Ben Stokes now. But I mean, are they really going to punch the ticket the way Callis did? And that's a challenge. I think he's been always given us moniker of being the greatest all-rounder of all time. And that's been his title. As a result, we can't consider him as a batsman nor a bowler specifically because he's fulfilled every single category you would want an exceptional player to fulfill, especially in the field. He's got one of the most catches in the team as well. He's brilliant.
I mean, Abhai, do you feel like the fact that he's actually a bowler, this might sound odd, just bear with me for a second. Do you feel that he's also a very formidable bowler and his stats rank up there with just even full-time bowlers? Do you feel like maybe that is actually in a backward way, a detriment to his ability and the way he's perceived as a player, and maybe because he's also a very, very good, effective bowler, that people don't look at his batting stats in maybe the way they should. Over 13,000 test runs, over 55. If he was a pure batsman, would he just be compartmentalized much easier for those like Sangakkara, Tendulkar, Lara, or does his bowling almost muddy the waters, if you will? Does that make sense, guys? Or
it's a pretty interesting question because I've always thought Callis, the batsman, has been very highly rated, and I've kind of felt that his bowling was relatively more underrated. But that's just my opinion at the end of the day.
I mean, do you feel like he's then held in the same regard as the people I mentioned?
Definitely.
I would have to say yes. I would have to say yes.
In fact, you mentioned the other guys. I actually saw a match in Cape Town where Callis scored back-to-back hundreds, but in between those two innings, Sachin Tendulkar also scored 100 at Newlands. So day 1, Callis 100, day 2, Tendulkar 100, day 3, Callis 100 again. It was phenomenal. That's probably the best batting I've ever seen, ever.
Was that the 10-11 series?
Yes.
Where Sreesanth played, didn't he?
I think Sreesanth was around.
Yeah, Sreesanth.
Yeah, that's it.
If he wasn't being slapped by Harbhajan.
I think he probably has a picture of Harbhajan in the gym now, because I've heard he's like become a bodybuilder. He's probably got a picture of him
put
being
some
slapped.
garlands over him and
It's just like got burning effigies up here over Harbour John kind of keeps on motivated. He's pumping those weights so much. Oh god. Anyway, but I said if you look at it on paper, obviously, you said just read off those names. Granted, with the four people mentioned, the Fab Four here and called out with Smith, Amler, Callis, and AB. But then you've got Alara Peterson, Rudolph, and Duminy. Who I don't think you could. I think you can make a fairly strong case that the likes of Bavuma, Van der Dusen, Markram, are better or will go on to do better things in the game than those two. I said, Rudolph averaging 35, Duminy 32. It's no great numbers. I think, South Africa was a wonderful side because of the great players they had in that team. Was not carrying them, but was forming such a strong nucleus in that team, majority, that they could afford to carry a player who's averaging 35, 32, the top seven, because those stats, if anything, fit more in the 2020 side, So I would just say, I feel like, I think the point I'm trying to get across here, I feel like with more experience, this current batting lineup could do a lot better. Could go on to do, I'm not saying exactly similar things, but do a lot better than they are and get much closer to that team they had 8 years ago and bridge the gap. And another thing we also should discuss is maybe the competition, how the landscape has changed in world cricket. Australia at that point weren't the strongest side in the world, were they? Yeah, there was obviously Stephen Smith was coming into his own. He was still pretty much a young nip. He was 23 years old. It was a team in transition, as South Africa proved when they went and they obviously beat them after beating England. India were not the team they are now. They were as formidable as with 12-13. They also lost at home to England. I think it was England's final frontier, you could call it. But India also lost. The landscape was different. Do you think that's also contributed to the fact of why South Africa are languishing in sixth place? Possibly.
I'm kind of segueing right here, but going back to when you were discussing Temba Bavuma. See, usually I feel that overall stats aren't necessarily the be all and end all because
totally agree.
Because ultimately it all depends on context. And if you look at Bavuma, he's done. I think he did a pretty good job when South Africa last visited Australia. He scored, I think, 80 odd in one of the games, and that helped put together a very important partnership that helped take the game away.
Ravi, would you concur with that? Do you feel like he's a better player than what his stats say?
Look, I think there's a confidence issue because he's been flourishing in the white ball arena. He should have had the 200s by now in one-day international cricket. He's, in my opinion, short of about 3 additional hundreds in Test cricket. He always got some great starts, but there are times where he never had the support batting with him till the very end. And there are times where he threw his wicket away foolishly, but that's the same case for the rest of the top 6. Everybody got some good starts and they just wafted like a wide delivery and went out. And I hate to say it, but there were some wickets where I thought the English almost bought their wickets, pitched it wide. Let's see what happens. Is Milan going to go for it or not? And guess what? He edged it to first slip.
Another
that's the kind of dynamic
you're dealing with. Another thing I noticed about him was even when he reaches around 50, he kind of has this tendency to start all over again when he's scoring like potentially his next 50 runs. And I think that kind of messes with his concentration. But fortunately, I think he's become a much better player when he got reintroduced to the shorter formats.
Do you feel because
there's pressure? There's lots of pressure on him for many a reason. In South Africa, especially in Cape Town, when he scored that 100 against England 4 years back, I remember the support from him, specifically from the Langa Cricket Club, was significant. Virtually the entire club, their fans from that specific club were there to watch him score his 100. His dad was there. His relatives were there. It was a significant moment for them because we've never seen an African batsman for South Africa score 100 in the international cricket. So it was a huge thing. So the pressure was on. from that moment onwards, where now is your time to sort of light the fire and take this on further. And that never quite happened.
I mean, I was going to say, obviously, Akihisa Rabada faced the same challenges coming into the team as a young 20-year-old, a raw 20-year-old in 2015. But he obviously rose to the occasion. Do you feel then, guys, that because Akainatini came before him and did so well for so long, that set the path for Black African cricketers, that maybe
I don't think so.
Do you think, because you obviously mentioned before about Baboon being the first real black batsman to obviously make 100.
I think look, Makai's legacy is a massive one, right? It's no question about that. Makai is one of the most successful bowlers in South African cricket, and he's like a monolith of sorts. It's very difficult to supersede him in all respects. But I feel that there was less pressure on Kagiso in that respect because there were so many other African bowlers that came before him that tried, failed, and some found a little bit of success in between. So the pressure was kind of off, and it's almost as though his level of confidence is obscene. Even as an under 19 player, it was crazy. It's like almost like as though this guy knew that he was going to play for the South African team. It's inevitable. He knew he was going to break records. He knew he was going to get a hat trick in his very first match. He knew he would. I think all of us thought he would clock 200 test wickets by now. He's just 3 short, apparently. This guy knows that he's destined for success. I don't think the pressure is on him at all. From that point of view, yes, there's pressure on him in terms of delivering. His workload is a big cause for concern at the moment because it sounds like a bad thing to say, but it almost seems as though he was carrying the team. Since Steyn announced his retirement, since the other guys left, he's basically the strike bowler. He's leading the bowling attack, which is crazy because he just rocked up 4 years ago. He made his debut 4 years ago. Now he's leading the attack. And a similar opportunity has surfaced for Ngidi. He's found his fitness. He's found his rhythm. It's a question whether or not he's going to reap the same reward as were, and the same goes for Hendrik Nortje. Is he going to do the same thing? All of these guys have promise, but nobody's quite there as yet because they haven't been on the field for long enough, except for Rabada, obviously.
Sure, yeah. No, thank you for that, Ravi. Yeah, so basically you're saying it's down to personal kind of, basically personal character as to why maybe Rabada's handled the pressure a lot better than Bavuma has for you. I mean, Abhai, also revealed off before near the start of the show about the current top 7. Do you feel there's anyone there who can elevate their game to on the levels of an Amla, a Callis, an AB, a Smith?
What do you think here? So I think I think Rasipata definitely has what it takes to up his game further. I mean, we've seen how he's done unbelievably well in ODIs, and yeah, he's hardly done anything wrong. He averages like 70 there, and I think the 98 against England, I think it's a clear indicator that he's made quite a bit of progress.
Yeah, the final test, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just looking forward. Let's see how he goes.
I mean, Van der Dusen, I agree, obviously. I think he's been a stalwart for the Lions for so long now. It's got a solid average of 44, as I mentioned before. But Quincy the Cock, obviously, lots been made of him, hasn't it? The fact that he's averaging just under 40, but I'm not sure what his stats are. Maybe you guys are going to lie to me for the past 12 months. But I know it's a heck of a lot more than 40 at test level. Do you feel he can go on? Because I feel like he's the one guy who could kick on an average. I mean, there's been debates left, right, and centre about where his best position is. But let's keep him at 7 for now. Do you feel he could go on average 45, 48, possibly even 50? And does he need to go up the order for that? Or should he stay at 7? Could he play a Gilchrist type role? Or could they move into 5 like AB Bat in 2012? Kept wicket? Is that too much to take us being the white ball captain as well? I mean, what are your thoughts on the Cock? Where do you see his future next, say, 2-3 years?
Well, I don't know about averaging 50. That's quite a bold claim.
I was also the question: is he capable of doing that? I don't know. Maybe he's not capable of even hitting 40.
You want my honest opinion?
Please, that's what it's about. That's what we're about.
Capable of averaging.
Yeah, okay.
I think he's right up there at the level of Steve Smith and Manus Labuschagne right now. I think he's capable of getting there.
Love
He
it.
is. And the problem is that because he's had so much pressure batting with the low end, he's always been asked to sort of take the mantle to take the game to the next level. And the problem is the 5 guys before him is only going to score 35 runs. Obviously, it's going to be even more pressure on him. So you got a tail that's failing you. You got the upper order, top 6 that's also failing you. So you're basically left there to make a solitary 50, 60, 70 if you're lucky, if your tail is capable of sticking around with you for the long haul. And then you make a meager total like 230 runs. But the reality is that he needs at least 1 or 2 more guys to stick around with him for as long as possible. And I guarantee you he can get to the same levels that Labuschagne and Steve Smith have got. Is the reality, if you look at Australia, right? Before, and I followed your recommendation, Shay. I watched the test. And I realized one thing.
What do you think?
I watched it. Brilliant.
Incredible.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And I realized something. That Australia's batting lineup, their top 6 was also under scrutiny for a long time. While Steve Smith, while David Warner were out of the scene. And something magical happened when Marnus Labuschagne was given a golden opportunity in Pakistan, in the UAE. To play against Pakistan in his inaugural test. And he showed some promise there. And then suddenly he was a substitution, a concussion sub in England.
I think that was a major turning point right there.
That was a huge turning point for him. And he just kept on scoring the runs. And the reality is that now you've got, there wasn't a case of you losing 2. You've actually gained 3 back into your batting order.
Exactly.
And these guys are delivering. These 3 guys are delivering in the test setup. I mean, David Warner, I know there's a bit of scrutiny at the moment whether he's going to stick around or not. But the reality is that between the 3 of them, I think there's about 8, maybe 900s since they've returned among the 3 of them, which is great. And the problem in South Africa, if you had to draw comparisons, that we don't have that dynamic at the moment. You just have Quinton de Kock, and you'd be lucky if you get somebody else that can also surprise you, like an Elgar or a Malan. And it sounds like I'm being harsh on Elgar because he's a capable batsman without question. But his performances since India haven't been that great either, apart from that one solitary innings in Newlands.
So obviously, your point is obviously then, Ravi, that you feel the Cock can emulate Labuschagne and Smith's record that they're performing at the moment, how their amount of runs they're scoring. So in that case, you obviously would move him up from 7. Do you feel then he has a defensive game to bat? Where do you say top 4, top 5? Where would you put? Obviously, I assume he's retaining the gloves. I assume he's not pushing the gloves. Or is he playing solely as a batsman?
Well, that's a that's the catch-22 we're in at the moment. So we for the first time in a long time, we've actually got quite a few reliable wicketkeeper batsmen in the country. Specifically, Kyle Verreynne is the guy that a lot of people are paying special attention to at the moment, as well as a youngster by the name of Keshile, Sinatembile Keshile. He's quite young. He's about 21 at the moment. He's still got a long way to go.
He got called up for a T20 series, but unlucky not to have.
Yeah. But I think he's been ruled still.
His first 4-day series, he did quite well. And this year, unfortunately, 2019 didn't work out so well. And then obviously we have yet to start this particular season. But
you will have Klaasen above Keshile? Current Klaasen above Keshile?
Look, Klaasen, for me, I hate to brand guys as white ball and red ball. But for me, I think he cemented his place in the white ball arena. It's very difficult right now in the red ball team to determine who should get a shot at the moment. But all I can tell you is that Quinton de Kock, there were a couple great starts that he made in the mini series he's played now. And it hasn't materialized to a greater innings because of the dynamic that they have. So if it means bringing the likes of Klaasen in, who's highly experienced, it could play a vital role in making South Africa a team that can score 300 plus runs as opposed to 220. That for me is a major difference at the moment.
Right, and Abhai, what's your thoughts on Quinton de Kock? Do you agree with Ravi, or I saw how you almost grimaced when Ravi mentioned Labuschagne and Smith in the same sentence. You almost fell off your chair there, I felt. But what are your thoughts on him?
I was a little bit surprised, but I think the guy is very very talented. I mean, as we were discussing, I just took a quick look at his how he went in Test cricket in the past 12 months. So 758 runs, average of around 42. So I think he will make a lot of progress. I think an average of 45, 46 should be pretty gettable, realistically speaking.
I mean, he's still only 27 years old, isn't he? He's still only 27, Quinton de Kock. That's the crazy thing about it. He's nowhere near his peak yet, in my opinion. It would be interesting to see. I mean, I know people make comparisons to Sangakkara, how Sangakkara dropped the gloves and averaged almost 70. Could Quinton de Kock do the same thing? As Ravi quite rightly pointed out,
players, I would say Quinton de Kock is a much more aggressive player than Sangakkara.
Yeah, that's my worry. I think you hit the nail on the head for me, Abhai, is that I'm not convinced personally, Ravi, that he has the defensive game to go and average 50, 55 plus.
Just watch that first test against India, in India, and just watch that. I don't know if you'll be able to see the full replay, but there were quite a few balls he left. He didn't chase after every single one, and he ended up scoring 140 if memory serves. 135, I think. And that for me was actually one of the best innings I've ever seen him play. And I said, if he could do that, obviously more times to follow, you'll definitely see him in the top rankings as far as world cricket goes.
It's interesting,
and I feel that's
because
a dynamic that's missing. That's something that's been missing for a long time.
Well, obviously I think he's done quite well actually since he took over captaincy of the white ball teams. He's shown a good cricket brain, and I think if you can apply that kind of mentality to test match batting, because you may be right there, Ravi. Maybe if he's batting top 4, top 5, his approach to the game will be vastly different, and he'll play a situation as opposed to playing an aggressive role all the time. Because he needs to be just one wave,
You mentioned defensive right now. If you've got a bowler on the other end, and you could see for a fact he hasn't had much of a net session before the game, right? He's wafting at everything going wide. Quinton is going to play a shot. He's going to have to. Otherwise, he's going to go out and then no one's going to be there to score the runs. What I'm saying is that if you change that dynamic completely, you're going to see a completely different output or outcome from Quinton de Kock. You'll see him become one of the better batsmen and the batter we actually need at this point in time to switch things up a bit. If it means taking the gloves away from him, I don't see South Africa doing the same thing that they did right now. Or this year against England, against Australia, against everybody else in the next year as well. Because I don't see that materializing. I actually see him losing the gloves eventually in Test cricket. And then when he comes back to one-day T20s, he takes the gloves on again.
Yeah, a little bit you're probably possibly right, actually. I think they want to get the most out of him. I think also he's going to have to be honest up front as well and maybe realize that the team needs him to do better. I think if he's obviously you would say he's arguably the best batsman in that top 7. Then if that's the case, he needs to bat higher than 7. It's simple as that. He can't be the best batsman in the team at 7. How's that possible? He's got to bat higher up the order, hasn't he? So I guess only time will tell. Just to kind of wrap things up here, then, if we talk, obviously, I think unless you guys want to talk about anyone else in particular that you feel
Vernon Philander, please, let's talk about Vernon Philander. How awesome he was. Greatest selection ever in the 2010s, by far. The best selection ever. Obviously, we could talk about Faf, Dean Algo, but Vernon Philander, for me, was a game changer. He was the reason why we did so well in England. In the first place, he's the reason why we did well in Australia.
But Ravi, now you've got Dwayne Pretorius in his place. It's the all-rounder at 7.
Chalk and cheese, isn't it?
It's not even chalk there, is it? Really, it's not even chalk.
I wish Cape Cod specifically. I wish we had a bowler with the stature that Vernon Philander had. I mean, it's incredible how he bowls, and I always felt that Vernon was always hard done by. He should have been making his Test debut as early as 2008 when Mackay retired.
I actually agree.
Even Fiedel de Wet should have they shouldn't have selected Fiedel de Wet. Should have selected Vernon Philander, in my opinion, for that test. I thought that was the reason why South Africa didn't do well in that series against England.
A lot of folks say extra pace is the real deal. It'll help take lots of wickets, but Belander wasn't really all that quick, and he was a superb operator when he got in.
He was absolutely military medium pace. There was nothing quick about him. But it was absolute joy to watch. I mean, he would drop on a sixpence. That's the thing with him. Joy to watch. And do you think that he retired too early?
That's a tough one. I think maybe he could have played another year of Test cricket, but
34 years old, right, when he retired.
Yeah, but then again, he was suffering a few
him,
injuries. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he made his debut at 26 as well. And as I said before, I think we missed out on a golden opportunity bringing him as early as 23 years of age. And I agree. I think the injuries just kept on coming up, and he made a calculated decision to say, look, I'd rather sign a Colpack agreement for the year and finish off on a high. Why not? I mean, he doesn't have an IPL contract. He's not as doesn't have a lucrative situation as well as Faf and AB de Villiers or any of the bowlers for that matter, you know? So why shouldn't he? And I think he made the best decision. Do I think it's a major gap that he left behind? Absolutely. I'd kill for Vernon Philander to come back to the team any day of the week, you know? He's a major loss. Vernon, for me, you can give him the brand new ball, you can give him the older ball, he'll do something magical.
Always make it talk.
And he can be very handy at number 8.
Yes, and you can bet, and there've been a couple memorable innings. I was hoping you at least get 100 behind his name, but you know you can't always get what you want, I suppose. But he's a superb batsman as well, absolutely.
Well, he more than made up with the ball, didn't he? I think I don't know how many wickets he took, but he averaged around 22, I believe, in his career overall. I mean, over what, almost 9-year career.
I actually made a decision. So I remember I doubted Vernon when he made his debut in 2011. I said, this guy, you know, and then suddenly he destroyed the Australian batting lineup, especially when Australia were on top of us in that match. I think up until day 4, I was convinced Australia was going to win. And I even gave my tickets away for day 5. I was like, I'm not going to go for that. Why must I go for that? Nothing is going to happen. And then suddenly somebody told me, look at the big screen, see what's going on here. And Vernon ripped through the attack. He destroyed him. I couldn't believe what was going on. Before you know it, Nathan Lyon was batting. It was crazy.
And he ended up top scoring for Australia.
He did. You know? That was the greatest find, I think, in this decade.
That was the second test. It was the Pat Cummins show, wasn't it? 18-year-old raw Pat Cummins in Joburg.
And he's one of my favourites at the moment. Yeah, he took 6 wickets in the Wanderers.
Yeah, he was phenomenal that day. The Roy the Rover stuff, that was phenomenal. I actually have to agree. I'm not a big fan of Australia, obviously being an England fan, but I have to say Pat Cummins is just a phenomenal cricketer. I love watching Pat Cummins bowl. Love watching him play. Anyway, so yeah,
I have to mention this. You speak about Australia and England days. One of my favorite memories, and I watched a replay the other day, was when Ricky Ponting got run out by that.
Oh yeah, Gary Pratt.
Brilliant fielder. Yeah, Gary Pratt.
2005.
And the way he took off with Duncan Fletcher as he was going. I didn't know who he was taking off. I thought he was taking off with a fan or something, but
no, the way Fletcher.
Cut to Duncan Fletcher sitting on a balcony drinking some tea, like there's nothing happening, you know.
It's the coolest and Bob he wasn't he, Duncan Fletcher?
Cool as ice.
Yeah, absolutely. But okay, yeah. So I mean, if we do so quickly run down, guys, to finish off. If we took, I mean, obviously, I think we can almost certainly agree on. We took a combined top 7 across the 2 teams. We would say that Smith, Amla, Callis, and AB are in there.
Yes.
Who's your other 3 players from the other? 10 players that I've mentioned, 10 batsmen I've mentioned. You want me to run through it again? I'm happy to. But who would you have in the other 3 spots? So the other 3 players in 2012 was Alvaro Peterson, Rudolph, and Duminy. And then you have the current lineup that South Africa have with Elgar Markram, Van der Dusen, Faf, De Kock, Bavuma, Pretorius.
Like combined 11.
Combined 11, yeah. Top okay. Combined 7 for now for this show. In those other 3 spots, who would you have?
You go first, Abhai.
Oh wow. Okay. No. Actually, you can go first. I need a little bit to think it over.
No problem. So the trio you mentioned was obviously Abla, Cullis.
So your quartet, so Smith, Amla, Cullis, AB. But maybe not AB. I don't know. Maybe not AB. But that's I would thought we would agree possibly on those four being in the best 7 batsmen.
So the next 3 for me would be I would consider Faf. Definitely, I feel that he's a proper Test match batsman. Doesn't give us a wicket away that easily. Definitely Dean Elgar. I felt that he materialized quite well, but obviously you've got Smith on top, so it's a bit difficult to jostle the two of them. And you've got and then I would say Quinton de Kock as well, because I feel that he's been by far our most successful wicketkeeper batsman for a while. All due respect to Mark Boucher, obviously he succumbed to that tragic injury.
Yeah, the eye accident. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a shocker. It was absolutely serious. And the reality, he wasn't functioning as a wicketkeeper batsman for a long time leading up to that point. So I felt that Quinton de Kock addressed something that hasn't been addressed in a long time. I think Boucher's last big score was against Zimbabwe 5 years prior to that. So you know what I'm saying. So I think as much as I love Boucher, the keeper, I prefer Quinton de Kock as a wicketkeeper batsman in that respect. So in the combined 7, definitely de Kock, definitely Smith, Amla, de Villiers, Cullis without question. I'll throw in Faf there. And who else did I say? I said Elgar.
Elgar?
Elgar, yes. Elgar and Smith would open. Abhai, would you agree with that or any?
I actually do agree. So I think, Ravi put Elgar at number 6. Interestingly, that's where he initially began. And apart from his first couple of games, he was actually a very solid player in the middle order. And I think when he started opening, that presented a sort of new challenge. And I can't remember how often he opened in first-class cricket, but I think he's very good at owning his tasks and doing justice to his ability.
I think it's difficult. It's a difficult one because I think not enough has been said about Ashwell Prince or JP Duminy either. And I think both have had significant successes with the bat. I think JP, towards the end of his career, was a bit of a yo-yo batsman. But I feel that Ashwell is probably one of the most underrated Test batsmen we've ever had. And it's difficult because the middle order at the time was such a difficult one to break into. You always had to wait for somebody to get injured to get into that side. So it was a quite tricky sort of dynamic. And obviously, JP was knocking on the door quite soon afterwards.
Did Ashwell Prince open the batting in 2008?
And he captained.
Yeah, I remember he captained, yeah. And I think he told him to back down the order. He was like, no, I'm going to open. So there was I remember some issues there with management. The Tessie captain, he was told where to bat. He was like, well, piss off. I'm the captain. I'm going to decide where I bat. I remember that. Ashwell Prince is a very good player. But yeah, also it's 2008 series. But me personally, I have to disagree with both of you. I would personally think that I would probably pick Markram, top of the order, instead of Elgar, just kind of left-right combination. I also believe that Rassie van der Dusen is a wonderful player. And I actually think he's going to go on to do very good things in South Africa. I think he could emulate Mike Hossey. He kind of made his debut at a very similar age, 30 years old. I think MEK was 30. He made his debut. And I feel like he's plied his trade for so long in first-class cricket. And I believe he's obviously approached, from what I've seen so far in the limited matches he's played, he's acquitted himself extremely well. I mean, everyone, as Abhai kind of slides the fact he's 98.
You're breaking a trio of Cullis, Amla, de Villiers.
No, I don't think so. You guys, no. I'm sure there's not. Okay.
Look, Rassie is a great fight. I agree with you wholeheartedly. He's a superb batsman. And then, unfortunately, his scores haven't gone his way. But since he made his debut in the World Cup last year, it was just been phenomenal from that day onwards. He's probably one of the
more
better
valuable
fights.
now than Fafi Passi for the Proteas.
I would say so because Faf isn't going to be around for more than 1 or 2 series.
There you go then. So then I think for me, mixed top 7, and I would go Markram over Elgar. I think it's Abhai.
You see, when I think Faf, I think 2012, 2013 Faf when he.
No, it's 2020 Faf. 2020 Faf, not the.
I love Faf. I love his side part. I love everything about Faf.
That's why you now.
I'll
You
go to his restaurant in Cape
Town.
Town. I love Faf. You know, if my wife would let me, I'd have a big poster of yours in the wall somewhere. But she said no to that, among
You
others.
said no, okay. Good. It was good for Mrs. Reddy to not allow a
No, she
full-size
said no
grown man on a
cricket
post.
paraphernalia at all. I mean, I was lucky to get this Dark Knight image you could see at the back there.
Fantastic, yeah, fantastic.
That was the only thing I got since we moved here, but that's about it.
Slowly but surely, yeah. I'm sure you'll imprint yourself in the house at some point, Ravi, over time, isn't it? As you know, it takes time in a marriage, doesn't it, to kind of get you away. Anyway,
yeah, I'll say next 10 years, maybe we'll see us on the December poster.
I was going to say maybe you'll see one more kind of Batman picture on the wall. To be honest, next 10 years, you're making decent headway. Abhai, you've got all this to look forward to, mate. Don't worry, you're a long way yet. But it'll come. But anyway,
I can hardly wait.
Travel to South America. Yeah. Just do you.
You're in California, mate. You could enjoy all that California's got to offer, I'm sure. So, yeah. But anyway, all right, guys. I think we can wrap it up there. To be honest, thanks so much for coming on. I really enjoyed that. I know it was a comparison kind of show, but the general chit chat about South Africa, I always like. So, yeah, thank you so much. It's both of you. It was very late for you, Ravi. I know Abhai, it's very early. I'm sure you've had your lemon smoothie hopefully by now. Which is
I had breakfast. I had everything. I'm about to have lunch, so we're all good.
Did you have your lemon smoothie?
How was it? The Cheerios. You're a Pop-Tart kind of guy.
What's that? What's this thing? Captain Crunch. It's a Captain Crunch you have over there, isn't it?
I'm not really that big a cereal person. I had a bagel today, and then I don't know. I sometimes eat cereal. I like Quaker Oats.
You're a celery juice kind of guy.
Nice. You're the one who's going to Whole Foods every Sunday, buy a little celery, isn't it? Abhai?
With your quinoa milkshake as well.
There's one thing I missed every time I went to the US. I always had goobers. You know the grape and peanut butter jam. You have a mixture.
Yeah.
It's like one layer grape, one layer peanut butter, and all the way around. I used to buy shit. No. Oh, the goobers!
We are so far behind in South Africa. Why don't we have the sophisticated technology here?
Yeah, why have two jars when you can have one?
One, exactly.
Americans are so smart. Mix your grape and your peanut butter together and make the perfect peanut butter and jelly jar. Fantastic.
Oh, visionary.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That, guys, by the way, is the next podcast in discussing peanut butter and jelly. So, guys, do tune in. We'll be talking all about that. And general American confectionery. There you go. Anyway,
you talk about peanut butter and Oreos. Fantastic combination.
Never tried. Yes. That sounds incredible. Actually. I actually plan to bake some cookie dough this weekend, as the missus' birthday. So I said to the kids, I'll be doing
children.
That.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
indeed. As you know. But anyway, all right, guys. Thank you so much. We obviously finished on a very professional note. I hope you really enjoyed the last couple of minutes of this podcast. Abhai, do you want to shout out any more about your social media, yourself, where we can find you?
Yeah, want to see more player features, more content? Be sure to follow Bolt Through the Gate on Instagram. And yeah, take care, everyone.
I should just quickly mention, if you're wondering why Abhai from California is on this show, it's quite an interesting story. He's a massive South Africa fan. So on his Instagram, you'll see on his general media, he's got a lot of interviews with South African cricketers, male and female. Yes. So right. If you do like South African cricket, do follow him. Do check him out. It's really good content, guys. So yeah,
Abhai is writing for Cricket Fanatics Magazine too. He's knowledgeable about so many South African cricketers that I've never met or seen before. He even gets pictures of them deep sea fishing and water skiing and God knows what else. He literally gets at that level. So check out Abhai stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he's actually got a sub niche. Sorry to remember. You just kind of got me off here now, Rob, because Abhai's got his sub niche. If you want to know when any of these players are having babies, getting engaged, getting married, just follow Abhai. And by the way, it's love emojis only, guys. Only. So if you want,
he's like a living Pinterest page, basically. That's what we're saying.
We have the resident gossip columnist.
The gossip columnists, yeah. We have something called Hello and OK magazine over here, like the Beckhams and people like that. Abhai could definitely start a cricket version of the Hello magazine. Yeah, guys, if you're not from the UK, if you're from the UK, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, if you want to know about the depths of the cricketers, where they go to, what's going on in their personal lives, you must follow Abhai. You must follow him. You will love it. So anyway, thank you guys for giving me a nice little laugh before I shoot off. If you enjoy the content, guys, about cricket, peanut butter, and cricketers' wives getting pregnant, do give us a follow as well. Do check out the content. And that is me signing off. Thank you so much, guys. But on a genuine note, Ravi, Abhi, it was great. And I hope forward to seeing you guys for part 2 in the near future. All right.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.